With the recent milestones achieved by Blue Scuti and others of beating Classic Tetris, I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about the two main variations of Tetris out there, Classic Tetris and Modern Tetris. Alright, so this here is my Nintendo from 30 years ago. Tetris cartridge preloaded. Alright, this right here is the original coaxial cable connection for the Nintendo. Plug in the power source. Moment of truth. "30 years later, still works." So these days, I mostly play Modern Tetris, but I actually grew up playing Classic Tetris. In fact, this is my original Nintendo system with the original Tetris cartridge inserted into it. And actually, this is my original Game Boy with the original Tetris cartridge built into it as well. So actually, I consider myself a connoisseur of both Tetrises. With that in mind, let's talk about the similarities between the two versions. Because on first glance, they both look like the same game and both have the same goals. Stack these weird shaped pieces on a 10 by 20 size board in a way that fills up a line with 10 blocks, which causes the road to disappear, making space for more pieces. Clearing lines increases your score. The more lines you clear at a time, the more points you get. So single line clears are worth the least, followed by doubles, triples, then a 4-line clear called Tetris. Modern Tetris has exceptions to this, but we'll talk about that later. Game ends when you reach the top of the board because you can no longer clear lines. All pieces are made up of 4 blocks called tetraminos. Some people argue that it's pronounced tetraminos. Those people would be wrong. There are 7 pieces in total: I, L, J, Z, Z for you Yanks, S, O, and T. Now you're probably thinking, okay, so you're saying both Classic Tetris and Modern Tetris are the exact same in game. So what's the difference? Classic Tetris is very rigid in its play. When a piece hits the bottom of the board, it basically locks immediately. When a piece is against the wall, it doesn't rotate. Classic Tetris requires pinpoint accuracy, laser focus, and firm decision making. Modern Tetris, well, this is Modern Tetris, which, by the way, has gotten the blessing from the original Tetris creator himself, Alexei Pajitnov. And also because I know if I don't mention it now, some Tetris heads are going to come at me, but right now I'm talking about modern guideline Tetris, okay? We'll talk about variations later. It's also the reason I didn't mention classic NTSC, PAL, emulations, blah blah blah. I'll get to that, so chill. So with that out of the way, modern guideline Tetris added a number of rules to make the game feel looser and more dynamic. Some people will say the biggest difference between classic and modern Tetris is the super rotation system, which I'll talk about in a sec, but in my personal opinion, which, by the way, is the right one, the biggest difference is modern Tetris' 7-bag system, in which all 7 tetraminos, i.e. the L, J, O, T, S, Z, and I, will drop in sets of 7. Those 7 will come in a random order, but once those 7 drop, another set of 7 pieces will drop again in random order. Classic Tetris has no such order and is truly random, so in theory you could have like 10 eyepieces drop in a row. Or, because RNGesus is truly evil, more likely you could wait for like 50 pieces to drop before the eyepiece comes, also known as a drought. So with the 7-bag system, the worst drought you could have in Modern Tetris is what? Like 13? It's literally like nothing. Alright, now let's talk about the super rotation system, aka SRS. SRS is the current Tetris guideline standard for how Tetraminos behave, defining where and how Tetraminos spawn, how they rotate, and what wall kicks they may perform. In terms of spawning, all 7 Tetraminos will enter the board in the same orientation, basically facing up. In terms of how they rotate, pieces have way more freedom than Classic Tetris. In Classic Tetris, a piece locks in position at the bottom of your stack within 1 frame. In Modern Tetris, even when the piece touches the bottom of the stack, you can rotate it up to 15 times before the piece locks in. In Classic Tetris, when a piece is shoved against the wall, it can no longer rotate. In Modern Tetris, even if your piece is against the wall, you can rotate it endlessly until you lock into the bottom of your stack, aka wall kicks. These SRS rules are what allows you to do wacky spins with almost every Tetramino, including the all-famous T-spin. In fact, Guideline Tetris specifies that T-spin doubles are worth either the same or more score than Tetris clear, even though they only clear 2 lines instead of 4. Speaking of score, other scoring differences between Classic Tetris and Modern Tetris are that Modern Tetris rewards additional score clearing lines in combination, i.e. using incoming pieces to clear lines in succession, and clearing lines with Tetrises or T-spins consecutively, i.e. the back-to-back. Other mechanical differences between Classic Tetris and Modern Tetris include larger piece preview, the ability to hold a piece and swap it out as needed, and the ability to hard drop pieces, i.e. instantly dropping a piece by locking it in immediately. Unlike Classic Tetris, where you can only soft drop a piece by holding down the down button and letting the piece complete the full drop animation. Alright, now let's set aside some time to quickly mention variations within the 2 types of Tetris. First off, the variations within Classic Tetris are relatively minor. Basically in the 80s,
you don't need to touch your shot.
Tetris.
Have you been touch size?
Old CRT TVs in North America versus abroad had different frame rates. North America was on the NTSC system, which is about 30 frames per second, whereas other places used PAL, which ran at 25 frames per second. The long and short of it is because of frame rate speeds, NTSC Tetris was slightly faster at different Tetris levels, and input responses had some variation. Throw in the eventual rise of PC emulation, and you end up with even slightly more varying speeds of Tetris depending on the PC and monitor used. These days, PCs are powerful enough that they can pretty accurately emulate either NTSC or PAL, but many will still tell you the purest way to play is with an NTSC Nintendo connected to a North American CRT TV. Fortunately for me, I'm a mid-classic player, so none of this makes any difference to my gameplay. In terms of Modern Tetris, there's the official Guideline Tetris games, i.e. any Tetris game that has received their blessing from the official Tetris company, and unofficial Tetris games. Official Guideline games include the likes of Tetris Effect, Puyo Puyo Tetris, and Tetris 99. There are plenty of other official Tetris games that span decades, but these are the more popular recent ones. The variations usually come in the form of controller input delays, line clear animation speeds, how quickly pieces move left and right when holding down buttons, i.e. DAS and ARR for you Tetris heads, and soft drop speeds. In official games, these values vary between games, but are locked within that game. Unofficial games, such as Tetrio and Jastris, however, generally remove line clear animations totally and let the user customize every single one of these settings on an individual level, allowing people to play at blistering speeds that are only limited to the power of the PC they're playing on. I mean, look at these speeds. Look at them! Anyway, this has been my video on the difference between modern and classic Tetris. If you think I missed anything, let me know in the comments and it'll be forever recorded in the annals of time. And if you like this video, make sure you do, all the things that you do. This has been my TED Talk. Thanks for watching.
It's fun.